There's been a lot of discussion on harnesses and how harnesses are essentially the application layer for LLMs, and that being the area where a lot of value can be created. The critical piece of going from an intelligent AI model into a reliable, consistent agent or workflow that you can implement in your business. And so I want to talk a little bit about that, as well as go through a quick example of what a harness is and what it can look like and how you can build your own using tools like OpenRouter. I created a quick example here of what that looks like, or what that could look like. Something that I've always been trying to figure out, or it's kind of a hobby, is how do you get AI to sound like a human writer? It's something that, at least personally, I haven't really seen any tools that do it successfully. Each iteration of models that comes out seems to be a little bit better at natural writing, but you still get a lot of these common LLM isms, hallmarks of AI writing, which I think everyone has kind of learned to detect. So I wanted to see if I could create a scaffolding or a harness to get more natural sounding written output. And so one of the most straightforward types of harnesses is using multi-step orchestration, using not just one call at a time, but stringing together agents to work in a workflow. And so what I've done here is I have a master list of topics that I'm interested in, that I like to write about. And so when I run this, it's going to pick randomly from that topic list, and I can add to this topic list as time goes on. So the first step is it's going to select a topic. The second step is it's going to create an outline, different ways or different angles that you could take on the topic. Then it hands it off to a researcher who's going to do fact checks, flag any certain things that need to be researched further, but also provide additional context. Then we hand it off to a writer. And so the writer is going to create 3 drafts. And the main reason I'm doing 3 is I find that you just get a little bit more variation, and that can lead to some better outputs. Then you have a ranker who's going to score those different drafts based on guidance and that natural tone that we want. And it's going to pick one, and then a final sort of editor who's going to have access to all the previous context and then write a final version of the post. Specifically, one of the things that I think is most effective is just creating a list of things that you don't want in the output and then having it check for that in the output at the end of the process. So every time I come across a sentence that sounds AI written, I basically try to figure out why, and then I put that into the anti-patterns. So let's just go to an example here. Another part of this flow is that it'll just create an output, and then it'll show me all the steps so I can audit what went wrong and why if I don't like the output. This is the first step. It's picking from my topic list. So I picked a AI safety topic. So I'm just going to go through different steps here. Again, at every step, it's using this kind of style guide that I've created, and we're trying to catch and remove those AI sounding phrases at every turn. And you can see in this editor step, each of the different things it's doing. I can go in and tweak this flow based on testing, but at least currently I like the tone that it's outputting. And then here we have this final draft. So the topic is kind of generic. Right now I haven't really refined the topic list that much, but I have to say, just reading through this, at least in my eyes, it's not doing any of the common sort of LLM patterns that I see in AI generated text. And it actually sounds, I don't know, it's something that I might actually post. That's just one example here, but I'm still tweaking it. I don't think I've solved the problem of a human sounding AI writer, but this is just an example of a harness. And at the very least, it's a way to show how much more you can be doing with LLMs. Instead of just relying on one prompt and one response, how can you create scaffolding around these various LLMs? Right now, it's just using Gemini 3, but you could tweak it to use Anthropic models for some steps, OpenAI models for others, depending on the different strengths of the different models, which I think as we're seeing, it's pretty clear that different models are going to be uniquely good in some areas. So if you can pair them together to help round out the sort of jagged edges, I think you're going to get some really cool results. I'm going to keep working on this and hopefully can get to a place where it's creating some natural sounding writing. And this is always something I've wanted to solve. And so using this approach at least gets me, I think, a little bit closer. And I'm pretty happy with the results.